Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout southeast Louisiana and into the Florida Panhandle. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. The New Orleans Saints continuing training camp in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. We'll keep you updated on a daily basis. Al Dupuy with some position battles that you can read about, which you'll be publishing on a weekly basis as well. And Lenny, I guess if you try to pick up a theme early on from this camp, I think it would be twofold. Number one, the constant praise for Michael Thomas. And number two, depth in the secondary. Von Bell making plays, P.J. Williams making plays. We know about Roman Harper being back. We know about the guys they have returning, including Keenan Lewis from injury. So all of a sudden it looks like the secondary may have some depth.
We'll see. Who's that sound like? It's early. That's the thing to remember in all of this. Injuries are going to happen, whether it's in practice, whether it's in preseason, whether it's during the course of the season. But it's great to have it right now. It's great to go in with it, and you feel like things are in pretty good shape. And the good thing was when you have healthy people is that you get good battles out there, which is driving people to perform at an even higher level. But getting back to your original thought about Mike Thomas, I mean, he's been the star of camp through 4 days, and that's encouraging to see. It's interesting. Reviews were kind of mixed early on during mini camps, OTAs, and such. The rookie camp that they had in terms of what you might have here, but they've gotten better and better, and certainly what we've seen from afar here through the first 4 days has been nothing short of spectacular. But again, it's just practice. Let's get to the games.
It's so easy for us to automatically pigeonhole a guy into someone else. You're always trying to compare someone to someone else. Willie Snead is Lance Moore, right? And Robert Meacham became Devery Henderson, and now you're looking for the next Marcus Colston. People thought Coleman might be that guy. Maybe there's still hope there. Thomas doesn't fit into any of those. He's really kind of an in-between all of those guys. He's not a burner, but he runs better than, say, a Marcus Colston. And he's not a possession guy or an underneath guy or a zone guy because he's got the power and strength to be able to fight off man coverage and play against zone. So he's kind of a guy that defies description in that regard.
Yeah, he's a hybrid of what the Saints have had previously. And look, the other guy, when you're talking about receivers, you got to be, and you mentioned it yesterday in your recap, Coby Fleener's been outstanding early on, and you talk about that next Jimmy Graham, perhaps. Can Fleener suddenly thrive in this offense after some years with the Colts? So, look, it's the signs thus far are encouraging, but again, it's 4 days of practicing against yourself, so temper it a little bit. See what happens. It was interesting to me hearing the comments of Sean Payton that, look, preseason's going to matter a little bit, and that you're actually going to not just run guys out there, through a bunch of plays and things like that. I don't think he's suddenly going to open up the playbook in preseason. I don't think we're going to see that. But the emphasis on the games is certainly something different than what we've seen previously.
A lot of position battles to talk about. Maybe one of the most intriguing is the running back position because Mark Ingram's on the team, we know that. It certainly appears Tim Hightower is the number 2 guy, so he's on the team. And after that, all bets are off because you have a lot of guys that do some similar things that bring different qualities to the table. The special teams guys clearly would be Murphy and Lasco. Murphy would be the number 1 return guy, but if Lasco can prove that he can return, well, maybe he becomes a better option because he's a gunner as well. And then, of course, you got C.J. Spiller, who says he's healthy now and can be the guy that he was before he got here. We'll see. And then you got Travaris Cadet, the jack of all trades, but is he truly a master of anything? Because he can do some things fairly well, return kicks, catch the ball out of the backfield. So to me, that becomes as intriguing a competition as any competition on this team.
And again, how many do you keep? When you get down to the 53-man roster, we've seen Sean Payton keep 5 running backs at times. I think what you mentioned about Lasco and his ability on special teams certainly puts him in a different class than maybe some other running backs.
Because if you believe what people are saying, he's not a guy that you can expose to waivers by trying to put him on the practice squad.
Well, he's a draft pick, so yeah, you're right. Somebody may indeed scoop him up, and again, it depends on what these guys put on film in the course of games. That's going to help determine that as well. But again, you just threw a handful of names out there. They won't all be here. There's simply not enough room at the end. How do you manage that? you like, again, like you talked about with the secondary. Still got some time to go. Injuries could happen. What Spiller has done thus far during camp is certainly suggesting that he is indeed healthy, and that would be very encouraging in terms of what this offense can do.
On one college note, Tulane a couple of commitments over the weekend, including a quarterback, which is significant because clearly Willie Fritz is going to have to get his kind of guys to run his kind of offense, and it starts at quarterback.
It does. They've got a pro-style commitment already, but this guy is a dual threat who's really an option kind of guy. So that still leaves, exactly what are you going to see? Some of the things you've heard out of Fritz is, look, we run 70 plays a game. We want to run it 40 times and throw it 30 times. That is not what you'd expect to see out of, a predominantly option offense. It might be 60-10 if you did that. But, again, this is a team you got to wait and see what happens on the field and see what your true identity is going to be. Tulane at American Athletic Conference Media Days Monday and Tuesday. Come back, camp's going to get started for Tulane. Camp's going to get started for LSU. It's the college season is here as well.
Yeah, of course, our hometown heroes each and every Wednesday morning, published at SportsNOLA.com, and a couple of those guys making news. Wade Miley traded to the Orioles, to a contender, and Alex Bregman got a hit.
Alex Bregman got a hit. Oh, by the way, Jonathan Lucroy wasn't traded.
Yes.
He was reportedly traded. He had partial trade veto rights and exercised those, but it's not dead. The trade deadline coming up Monday afternoon. Still could see moves, and look, we're talking about major leaguers there. Don't forget the minor leaguers as well. Some of these guys, could be a new opportunity for them to be able to switch organizations. Could see some of those. We've seen that happen at the deadline before. So you watch it from both ends, from the major league end, from the minor league end. But, of course, those guys you mentioned. Miley coming off a sensational performance Saturday against the Cubs where he was dominant and beat Jake Arrieta, and now he's on to a contender with the Orioles. Good for him.
Indeed. Check out our high school previews posted every day at SportsNOLA.com leading up to the upcoming prep football season. We think you will enjoy those. And that season's getting closer. Stay tuned. And, oh, by the way, opening ceremonies for the Summer Olympics this weekend. There you have it. Have a good week, Lenny.
See you later this week.
That's our First NBC Bank weekend review, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. He's Lenny, and I'm Kenny, and you're you, and you have a great week. God bless you.